My brothers and sisters in Christ, beware hardness of heart. This expression, hardness of heart, comes up as one of the most severe condemnations that Jesus offers in the Gospels and that God the Father offers in the Old Testament. For it is one thing to sin, and we're all guilty of sin, but it's another thing to be hardened in heart, to where we're closed to the intervention of God. In today's Gospel, we hear one of just many cases, and this is early on in the Gospel of Luke that this is happening, and yet time and time again in the Gospels, there are these encounters between Jesus and the Pharisees or Jesus and other religious authorities. And in them, Jesus is often put to the test or scrutinized for what he will say or do. In today's example, in the case of the healing of the man with the withered hand, Jesus realizes their intentions, what they're thinking, and so he poses to them a question. Is it lawful to do this? This is a way, not only does he heal the man, but he is offering a question to try to break through their narrowness of vision. But what you'll notice is the question doesn't even land on them. It's not just that they, ponder the question and reject him as an outsider or wrong, imposter, sinner, whatever it may be. But there's no indication that there's even openness to consider the question he has posed to them. This is dangerous to us, not just, of course, as the Lord speaks to us in our hardness of heart, but even as we find dialogue within the church and the world. On one extreme, we have those that are too open to relativism, and a way in which kind of anything goes, that the nice thing to do is accept everyone's point of view as long as it's theirs. This is the whole kind of idea of your truth, my truth. And this is absolutely flawed. There is one truth, and we must stand for what is true and what is right. But there is also a haughtiness that can come from always assuming in all moments that our own grasp of truth is so perfect that we need not ever listen to anyone who for a moment we might perceive as being wrong. This is a dangerous place, and we see this as people become more and more entrenched, forget even the world outside, but just of disputes within the life of the church. When no longer can a question be posed between people of differing opinions and it really pondered, but immediately at the first sign of that someone doesn't meet one's definition of orthodoxy, there is a rejection, a shutdown. The conversation is over and you are condemned. This does not allow for any kind of sense of mutual growth and communion. There are often times where two people are in communion with the church and with the Lord, both imperfect, and there may be an opportunity for mutual enrichment between the two of perspective. There may be some things on which one is wrong and the other is right, and vice versa. But we don't need to accept erroneous positions as truth, but we always need to be willing to listen, especially to those who speak from a place of authority. For example, our bishops or even the Pope. Not everything they say is guaranteed to be right. The sense of the infallibility, for example, that the Pope exercises is actually on narrow occasions. Everything the Pope says in an interview, this and that, isn't guaranteed to be right any more than you or mine. And yet, as the vicar of Christ, we are called to always listen. With Pope Francis, there's some who love everything he says, there's some who are suspicious of everything he says, and hopefully the truth is, regardless of one's feelings about the Pope, that one always listens and ponders what he has to offer, for he is the representative of Christ on earth. Now, he's flawed, yes. Our bishops are flawed, you and I are flawed. And yet, there always needs to be an openness in the life of the Spirit to hear, to ponder, and to continue to go deeper in our grasp of the truth. When we encounter something that is wrong and ponder it and discover that it is indeed so, okay, we can dismiss it, but at least we have been open to the dialogue with God and with one another. This is important so that we may not become hardened in heart, because, in fact, if we are hardened in heart towards one another, we will soon find that we are likely hardened in heart towards God and have replaced his truth with our own. May God bless you all.